Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Welcome all to our recording of The Empty Man. I will undoubtedly have to do this in multiple parts, unless I access some kind of arcane stamina from the ether, but I'm going to warn you there'll probably be a cut, like in most of my commentaries. But this movie is fucked. It's very weird. It's a lot like Burnt Orange Heresy. It's a lot like The Good Shepherd. It's a lot like Aeon Flux. It's a movie that says a little bit too much, or risks doing so. And the great thing about this movie is it comes across, on the surface, as a sort of basic horror movie. But even despite doing that, in this intro we're going to see, which is maybe 15-20 minutes, it can't resist telling a Lovecraftian short story, because that's what it really is. This whole movie is a Lovecraft short story. So, we open on these mountaineers, and they're hiking up this creepy mountain in 1995. This movie does and says so much. I'm not going to ramble about it beforehand. I'm going to try to commentate on things as they happen. Because, I mean, I guess during these scenes I could say some things. This movie is about programming. It's about altering a person's personality, proclivities, desires, and behaviors and habits. And it cloaks that process in a spiritual, creepy sci-fi type of narrative. There are real mechanisms that will change your behavior in the way that this movie's characters are influenced. And this opening is not really relevant. That's why I was hesitant to make a commentary on the overall theme, because this opening is, it's a short story that's basically separate from the movie. So take that into account. But to contextualize the movie that we're going to see, the main story, I want to say that it's about programming, because it is. The methods of programming the human mind are very creepy from any perspective, whether you're spiritual or scientific or atheist or whatever your sort of mental basis for interpreting reality is. When you study how to change people's minds, that process is very creepy. And this movie comments on it, like a lot of Lovecraft's works do. Basically, it's almost like you're preparing a human vessel, an empty meat suit, not to be conscious in its natural way, but to host some sort of non-human entity that will influence its consciousness or that will take it over. That's what this movie's really saying. It's saying that human beings are sort of blank slates, and I mean that in every sense of that term, and it depends on your experience and the culture you're raised in, what your behaviors and your opinions and your actions will be. What this movie is trying to say is that what if you just created a person from birth to be something that humans wanted that person to be? And that's what every group of parents does. Again, this is a very creepy movie. It creepifies a lot of natural things that are normal and not creepy at all. You know, parents raising their child to have their values, that's not creepy. But a government trying to influence a child to behave a certain way is creepy. Certain agencies within a government, not even just influencing existing people, but maybe they're creating people, literally. Maybe they're cloning people. Who knows? That's what this movie is trafficking in. It's trafficking in these kinds of ideas. And it's doing so symbolically a lot of the time, and a lot of the time it's doing so literally. And it touches on a lot of esoteric concepts like tulpas and imaginary friends and all that kind of crap. Again, I think that's a kind of eyes wide shut gloss. What it's really commentating on is the actual real process of manipulating a person to make them behave differently, of influencing a person's behavior, of conditioning. Conditioning is the word I've been looking for. Anyway, let's rubber band back to things. So, one of the hikers has fallen into a dark crevice. Ooh. We all fall into a dark crevice now and then in our lives. It's not a fun experience. Sometimes it's necessary, though. So they're putting on their gear. They're preparing. This heroic guy, he's going to go rescue the dude who fell into the mountain crevice. To the anus of the mountain. Ooh, it's very stinky down there. So again, this opening is a short story that is only tangentially related to the main plot, but it's a very good opening, man. This movie, the one criticism I have of it is it's something that the Red Letter Media crew pointed out, which I do agree with, is that it's overlong, it's sort of overindulgent, but the problem is its premise is so creepy and complicated that it almost has to be the length that it is. It's almost 3 hours long. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes, I think. Anyway, we have this guy going into this cave. There's shots of insects, decay, death. And here we have our character who fell in. And he's meditating in front of an idol. He's in Plato's cave. And the shadows on the wall have totally captured him. And what the fuck is this thing? It's a Zdislaw Beksinski H.R. Giger fossilized skeleton. A dead Nephilim. What the fuck is that? Very Alien vibes, Alien 1979 vibes to this. There's smaller human skulls at the feet of this thing. What is this? Insects crawling all over it. My God, man. Everything else so far has been realistic. And then we come to this prop. But it's a very realistic prop. It's very well done. What's he saying? You touch me, you'll die. He's been infected with Platonic illusions. He's infected by lies. The virus, the very most basic version of the virus, is just illusion. The virus of reality is illusion. And it's funny that he got infected by staring at a human skeleton. At the body, the physical, the material. He's infected with the virus of the lie of the material. That's what this movie's saying. Now he's weeping. He goes, I know you guys are all gonna die. Anyone who touches me, who has contact with me, will catch the virus of illusion. Because I'm not immune. I'm weak to it. But he wants to save his friend. Basic human ape brain impulse. I want to save my friend. His name is Paul. Paul the Apostle. A lot of Christians interpret Paul as deviating from Christ's teachings, and some interpret him as sort of embodying them and elevating them. So it's interesting this guy's name is Paul. And he has this sort of confrontation with Platonic illusion. Again, this movie is doing things well enough that I'm going to be very generous to it. I'm going to apply a lot of esoteric interpretations to its visuals because I appreciate this movie. It probably doesn't deserve a lot of the connotations that I'm giving it, but I enjoy it. I think it's done a good job of, at the very least personally, making me think about these things. To me, that's the mark of a good piece of art, is it prompts you to recontextualize different narratives and things you've heard in your life through its exercise of its own existence, through whatever media you're accessing it from. That makes it interesting. It's interesting to have your own preconceptions and beliefs either challenged or augmented, added to. And this movie, it's made by Judeo-Christian filmmakers, so it's trafficking in those types of symbols. So they find this deserted house. And their friend is totally out of it. He's trapped in a K-hole. He's off his rocker. He injected too much weed, guys. He's in Plato's cave. He can't escape. Help him. Oh my god. The drama. I mean, the balls to have the opening of your movie be like a 20-minute short film, and then the main movie is sort of tangentially built off of it. That's a rare thing, man. I give this movie a lot of credit just for having the balls to be the way it is, you know, in terms of its format of presentation. And, you know, a good friend of mine who's an aficionado of the type of content I like, and is more discerning than me, more mature than me, he rightly pointed out, he's like, this is the only part of the movie worth watching, is the first few minutes. And in a sense, he's not wrong. But the rest of the movie's good too. And that's kind of why I'm making this video. I love this movie, love the first part of it that we're seeing, but I also love the rest of it. I think the whole concept is an interesting concept. It's sort of two movies merged together. You get the sense the director wanted to make this into a miniseries, but he couldn't. And so he had to he was forced by the system to compress everything into this blob. And even despite that constraint, he adapted to that constraint as best he could. And I respect him for that. But it's not just respect. I really do like the movie for what it is. So anyway, this guy's still faded. He's been on Discord too long. He's given in to illusion. He's got suicide scars on his hands. So he's already a Vampiroteuthis Infernalis embodied in a human shape that was freaked out about having to be human and tried to kill himself in the past. And so this force underground, this creepy platonic illusion force, took control of him because he was already weak. If this dude, who's being given a nice cup of tea now, had fallen in there, maybe he wouldn't have fallen prey, because he's a different type of person. But the guy who fell in was the guy susceptible to it. He goes, we don't know if this guy's got a broken leg or something like that. He's not in his head. What a great line. Creepy, but also believable. He's not in his head. That's great. This guy looks like Wendigoon. By the way, shout out to Wendigoon. Great channel. He goes over weird, cryptid shit and conspiracies. Very good channel. A real bro. A real one. Like and subscribe to Wendigoon. He's a good man. I like him. I like his stuff. Anyway. This guy's arguing with his girl, who's rightly hysterical. She's correct to be worried. And he goes, look, we'll give him one more night. If he doesn't improve, we'll set out for civilization for help. Pretty logical thing. Characters in this don't act like morons, at least in this part of the movie. They act like logical people in a very illogical situation. Kind of like life. Your consciousness, the real you, is a logical force. I feel like the spirit of you, of all of us, of all conscious beings, is logical. It's ordered. And we're put in a chaotic situation for a purpose, to terraform things or to test us or whatever. Whatever the purpose is, logic, I think, is a divine thing, which is why I also think scientific thinking is divine. The problem is, like anything, it can be corrupted. But it's usually very easy to tell when and where it's been corrupted. And usually it's by illogical, emotional thinking. Morality is fundamentally a logical exercise that's extracted from emotion, the best parts of emotion. So when people say, like, Sam Harris, for example, goes, you can have logic, you can have a logical morality without God. Maybe that's true, but that's a stretch, man. Like, I think emotion has to play a tiny role, but you can't try to separate morality from physicality. Morality is inherently tied to our physical bodies, to the bodies of our hikers here. If you're moral, it means you acknowledge the value of your meat spacesuit, your ape brain spacesuit. And it does have value. There's a reason we're here. There's a reason we're doing what we're doing. Maybe we don't know what it is. Maybe that's for the best. Maybe if we knew, it would be worse. That's what faith is. Faith is basically recognizing that you're embodied, that you are not your body, and allowing yourself the respite of thinking that there's a reason for that. Whether there is or isn't doesn't matter. The point is that convincing yourself with an illusion that you are supposed to be here, that you're supposed to be you, is necessary. And everybody does this, whether they do it consciously or subconsciously. Crazy folks like me do it consciously. That's not a recommended path. I don't recommend that to anybody. I do it because I have to. But for most of us, that type of justification of our embodiment in material reality is a good thing. It's necessary. You might say it's divine if you really want to be that dramatic about it. Okay, it's divine. Again, the reason I bring all this esoteric shit up is because this movie's trafficking in it. We have a character who's sort of a sensitive guy. He falls into a hole. He gets exposed to some creepy knowledge. The knowledge of a Nephilim skeleton. And it sort of possesses him. It hypnotizes him with knowledge he wasn't ready to receive. Now there's a creepy hooded figure. My God, man, this is like out of the Poetic Edda. There's a creepy figure. Is it Odin in disguise? Or is it Loki? Or is it something worse? And they don't know, but they're desperate. So she comes out of the house, walks up to it. Looks like a corpse, like a mummy crawled out of a tomb. And all of a sudden, the sound of the snow fades. This thing tries to connect with her, steps towards her. Then it starts running. Closes the door right at the last moment on it. My God, man. This is so fucking good. Miss me with the Scream movies and all that type of crap. This is scary. Now she hears the voice of her friend. Opens the door. Behind her there's a coat hanging up that looks creepy too. So now the whole thing's invalidated. She hallucinated something. What she hallucinated was that these characters have already been infected by the same knowledge virus that our unfortunate climber in a coma was infected by. And so when they tried to come home, part of her mind interpreted them as an evil thing. Because they don't know it, but they are. They've been infected. They know too much. And he's whispering into their ear. He's transmitting the virus. He's speaking things to them they shouldn't hear. Things he shouldn't have heard. This movie, man, is so goddamn good. Especially this first part. I mean, I should really just stop the commentary after this, but the rest of the movie's good too. This part's the best, though. This really is its own thing. Transmitting knowledge viruses through speech. I mean, that's fundamental. That's pre-biblical. That transcends everything. If you want to know what the real truth behind reality is, it's idea viruses or language viruses or knowledge viruses. That's the truth. And DNA is just a physical incarnation of information, right? Imagine if DNA could be hacked by speech, by knowledge. Imagine if your DNA could be hacked by someone insulting you for doing something or praising you. The power of speech. You can't underestimate it, man. Now we have the Apostle Paul giving little flute odes to Cthulhu in the snow. This could be an episode of Aeon Flux. If this was animated, man, it's perfect. The tone is the same. He goes, "Don't ask me to speak. It's the last thing you want to ask me to do." And really, he's telling her to stab him. He's enthralled her. He's hypnotized her. And she just straight up kills 2 of her friends because she heard him. She's infected. But is it the infection, or is it Paul himself telling her, make sure this doesn't get out? I've got something so evil in me that you need to die. This can't get out of here. We all have to die. We're fucked. There's an interpretation of this that's what he's doing. He says, we can't all have this virus. Then things fade. And finally, we get the intro to the movie. 22 minutes in, The Empty Man. You really do have to treat this a lot like a miniseries, a TV miniseries. That's how it's structured. But it was compressed into a movie. So now we fast forward 23 years. We're in Missouri. And here's our apostle, the Apostle Paul. Or is it him? Am I wrong? Is it somebody else? I'm not sure. Somebody who looks like him anyway. He's wearing the same clothes. Still got that voice in the back of his head. Something whispering to him. Where were you? That's his conscience. That's not some evil force. Maybe he feels guilty for his friends. Straight up, guys, I haven't watched this in a couple of years, but so this chick's like, I need some anti-rapist spray. What can I get? And he goes, this kind you gotta shake. Others you don't. This guy's kind of a pyromaniac. He's lighting lighters on his knee. I don't know about that, bro. What's funny about this movie is when the actual quote-unquote movie starts, there's a sense of artificiality to it. And I think in retrospect that makes sense. The movie seems like a hallucination of our character from the intro, which it could be. In this movie's context, that's possible. Gives this chick a 2-fingered salute. He's looking at him over the bar stool. And he goes, all right, I've got a birthday coupon and also a tip. Give me a birthday ceremony. I crave ceremony. That's important. He's drinking Corona. This was made in 2020, by the way. So he acts embarrassed. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't, but maybe he just wanted the free cake. I get a sense he just wanted the free food. So he drives back home, looking at his mail. Average type shit. Very average looking guy in an average looking house. There's a creepy little two guys kneeling by a tree plaque by his door there. Hard to see that. This alien looking chick. It's like, how's it going, bro? You're down here in the meat zone. How you faring? He goes, all those friends of yours died, Some hard shit. And she goes, hey, guess what, bro? I found religion. Nothing can hurt you because nothing is real. Again, the Plato's Cave theme. He goes, well, there's some things that are real. And she gives him the philosopher's doubt. She goes, how do you know your perception is real? Blah, blah, blah. And she's talking about manifestation. She's like, if you have a certain attitude in your life will turn out the way that that attitude dictates, which I think is true. Not in a magical sense, but in a literal sense. If you want to destroy yourself, you'll end up in a gutter. If you want to be a king, you'll end up a little bit higher than you are, but you'll have more responsibilities. That's the sort of thing she's saying, which I think is true in that specific sense. And she goes, you're kind of lost, aren't you? Let me tell you something. Listen to what I'm saying. You should listen to her. Probably some merit to what she's saying. And her mom is calling her. Her mitochondrial mother. Her Bene Gesserit handler is calling her. So she leaves. And this guy, he's still unsure. He's experienced some crazy shit. Very strange request. Can I tell my mother that I saw you? He goes, yeah, sure. Thanks for checking on me. It's like he knows he's a subject. He knows he's an experiment. He's not that stupid. He just can't know it all the time. He's got to ration his confrontation with that knowledge or he'll go nuts. Very shitty position to be in, stuck in the middle like that. This reminds me of Fury Road, where The Mad Max character in that, he's traumatized by the loss of his wife and child. Hell of a loss. He's got some heavy meds to take. And now, instead of day 3, we're back to day 1. The clock has been reset. Then we cut to a clock. Woman covering her crotch. Wine glass and photos. Alcohol and memories. Candles. Flowers. Things you put in front of a grave. Watching this movie for the second or third time, it really does give credence to the notion that this part of the movie itself really, is a fever dream dreamt by the character from the first 20 minutes. This guy. Or it's supposed to be this guy. He doesn't quite resemble the guy who was playing the flute, who was infected, the guy who fell into the crevice. He sort of looks like him. This woman answers the door and he goes, "What's wrong?" "Is my second coming disturbing to you? What's the matter?" Good painting. She's clearly a good painter. Got a creepy triangle poster on her wall there. A black poster. Pay attention to that. A poster that's solid black or almost solid black, with a Buddhist shape in the corner. "The empty man made me do it." And then send in the cops. And this guy goes, "Oh, you used to be a cop. We looked you up. Now you're living next to this shit." He's doing creepy drawings. Woman's dad had a heart attack. Woman's husband. Girl's dad. Daughter, Pearl Jam. It's a reference to a song. She had a panic attack. Her squid soul was freaked out by having to be in a human body. That's what a panic attack is. Poor thing. The cops are trying to write this off. They don't want to turn it into a missing person or anything else. They want to say she just left. She's 18. Awkward situation, man. Interesting they ask her about pets. Kind of strange. Never noticed that before watching this. Straight up, guys, I may not have as much to say while watching this as I usually do, because I'm kind of fascinated to see it again. I haven't seen it since shortly after it came out, so And this girl that talked to our main character on the park bench is clearly this woman's daughter. This guy's not aware of it, or he's hiding his awareness of it. Maybe it's their daughter. We don't know. God, she's drawing fucking H.R. Giger shit. Woo! And he finds, this creepy Institute flyer. He goes, I'll PD this shit. I'll private detective this. 'Cause you're my neighbor. I care about you. Oh, this Vampiro Tooth, this red squid-clad chick. That toque, man, it's just a squid's head. It's like the Egyptians and the Vikings. They had helmets that elongated the shape of their heads. Just a reference to that. She smokes right away. Based. She sees something. Some demon. Denizen of the earth. Lava for blood. About the empty man, the legend. Ooh, it's just some stupid kids thing. It's fire and water. If you played music and thought about Cthulhu, he would talk to you. That's the reference this series is making, this movie. It really is a series. I know I've conflated those terms, but oh, her finger going over the moon like an eclipse. This is a very interesting concept where she says if you imagine the worst, then it won't happen. It's like making a movie called Civil War in 2024 so that there won't actually be a US Civil War. You think up the worst case scenario, and because you've imagined it, it's barred from being real. Very interesting. I like that idea. So there's all these other kids with her. the goth GF you guys all want, right? The goth GF? Yeah, they're like this. They're disembodied squids. You don't want them. And then she finds a bottle on the bridge. Calling the empty man. Calling Cthulhu is not a small thing. Don't call him unless you need him to be there. Unless you have a reason for him being there. Sometimes it might be beneficial, but in this movie they're just fucking around with things they don't understand. Poor Brandon. Another victim of peer pressure. Ah, many such cases. I like this ritual. It's very creepy. Blowing on an empty bottle like a flute. It's very easy to do, you know. Empty bottle's an easy thing to find. Very convenient, kind of realistic thing. I like it. Easy to film, too. It's not hard to get a bunch of random extras to blow on an empty bottle. This Devara chick, she does it reluctantly. She's like, ah, fine, I'll take the vaccine, but not willingly, not that willingly. And this girl decides to go balls deep. She's like, I really do want Cthulhu to show up. Do you really? Do you even have a reason? You summon something like that, whatever that is, you gotta at least have a reason. Your reason can't be curiosity. Go. Ask and ye shall receive. The girders of the bridge look like a church. They look like a church window. That's great. The intersecting girders, they look like a stained glass window. That's cool. That's really cool. Again, I'm being very quiet, guys. I know it's uncharacteristic of me to not rant at you constantly, but this movie is very good. In fact, it's so good, I'm going to end my recording here. We're at 44 minutes, 53 seconds, 54, 55, 56. Peace out. Hey guys, what is going on? Here we are, back again with The Empty Man. So, our epic teenage Scream type characters are on this bridge, and they're waiting for the epic empty man to show up. And they hear a whistle through a bottle, and then rapid footsteps. Oh, shit! Maybe you shouldn't have fucked with things you didn't understand. And our main character's like, well, was that the last time you saw this chick? And she goes, no, she was creepily whispering to a guy who'd taken one single bite out of a burger. Must have been a shitty burger if he took one bite out of it, man. If I was hungry, if I was, gonna eat lunch, I'd eat more than one bite out of a burger than, before I bent my ear to this chick. Now, then he sees a bunch of people meditating. They're epic, evil, communist, anti-capitalist, Eastern philosophy meditators. My God, how dare they oppose our system? They must be creepy demons. Don't meditate. That might tell you that you're in a dying system. My God, how creepy. Now, our detective character is asking after Brandon, the missing boy. And they're like, if you haven't seen him, we don't care. Fair enough. Here we have him investigating another house, another potential lead. We've got an interesting movie playing on the TV there. It's Spartacus or some kind of 1950s Roman judeo-Christian type of historical thing. I'm not familiar enough with those movies to know which movie that is, but it looks like it's from that era, in my estimation. And again, this chick's got a black poster, almost like she's a nihilist who believes in nothing, but there's some spooky blue Vampiroteuthis light illusions from the Mariana Trench. And as soon as he touches the poster, they go away. Interesting. As above, so below. If you believe in that type of line of thinking, the angels may not be up in heaven above us, physically above. They might be on the bottom of the sea. If you were an angel and you were trying to hide, where would you hide from an ape lizard-brained type of creature who interpreted everything as up is good, down is bad? If you're an angel trying to help people, you might hide below. And the devils might position themselves above, might portray themselves as stars, like the morning star. Isn't that interesting? Anyway, our epic main character's talking to his epic GF, and he's like, you know what? I can't find any of these kids. Their parents are standoffish, they're not cooperating, I can't get any information. The kids have creepy posters. I don't know. I'm going to investigate the bridge. And this poor bug-eyed, cockroach-faced kind of chick is like, fuck. Maybe I shouldn't have invested so much hope in this guy. Maybe he's going to fail. The green of Middle-earth. There's a blue border on the bridge. Green and blue. And then he goes, well, there's a bottle here. he does the ritual. He's thinking about the empty man because he wants to find him, but he breaks the bottle. He says, nobody else is going to do this bullshit right now except me. I'm doing it for myself. I'm excluding others. Helps that there's nobody around him at the time. That's very convenient for the plot. Man, oh man. Creepy shit. Something's not quite right on this bridge. Epic shaky cam. Oh my god, it's like I'm back in 2004. 2008? Whenever Cloverfield, the first one, was released. And he goes, oh well, there's an open manhole here. Looks like something kids might fuck around with. Let's check it out. I'd call him a good detective, but that's a pretty obvious clue. I mean, an open manhole on a bridge where potentially some shady shit has happened. It's a pretty obvious clue. God, I love the close-up of his face. And then we just rapidly cut to the hanging corpses. 4 of them, 5 of them, just hanging there, clanking against the metal girders of the bridge. And he's like, there's got to be something else. Here he finds it. The empty man made me do it. And then here comes the fanfare. Here comes all the medical personnel. Here comes everybody. As it should be. But man, combing the waters. The system is mobilized. Again, as it should be. But what are they missing that this guy has noticed? That's the point. The Point Effects Institute. Oh, isn't it funny how I put it there? And now we're cutting to our epic African-American chick. She's in her nice, clean spa. She's going to hopefully have some relief from the insanity that's been going on around her. Take a nice bubble bath, have some bath salts, have some relief. Ooh, don't show your ass to Hollywood, my dear. Don't do that. Demand that they censor it artistically. Don't just show it off. Good God. You're giving away more than you know you are. But it's tasteful. It's tasteful. Her boobs are only shown for a second, It's minimally degrading. And this movie made no money, so, that to me is a hallmark of a good movie in a lot of ways. Made no money, appealed to very few people. Probably means it was designed to actually say something, regardless of what gestures utilized to say that thing, to transmit that message. And what does she see through the fog? Oh, something's there. Whoa! Someone is there. It's Darth Maul. Oh my god. He's not going to use his force powers in this scene. Oh. But in fact it was her. Her Vampiroteuthis Infernalis real soul got tired of pretending to be a human and killed itself. Many such cases. If we don't feel comfortable here, we just check out. That's her closing her own eyes somehow. If Project Serpo, if the Serpo project is gonna attract aliens to this planet, man, you gotta be ready to actually accommodate us when we get here. If this is gonna be the result every time, we're just gonna blow your planet up. Because it's pathetic, it's retarded. It's like you're making promises you can't fulfill. That's all I'm saying. This guy's like, I grew up in the boomer timeline when Vampiroteuthis squid souls were allowed to accommodate themselves in a way that was befitting to our preferences. That's why I'm doing my job and helping people, 'cause I got what I needed. If you can't give further immigrants these needs, well, your society is a shithole. And we're gonna burn it down ourselves, those of us who choose to even stay here. Hell of a thing, man. Even the tea sucks ass. It's paper cup shit. That was not the case 30 years ago. I would have got a china cup with some real loose leaf tea in it. Now I'm getting this corporate shit. It's watered down. Come on, man. The fuck is wrong with you? Don't ask us to be here if you can't accommodate us. Oh, we have some Dune shit. My newborn infant is very prescient. He learned language very quickly, and he creeped me out, so I killed him. Interesting. Fed him to the dogs. Hell of a thing, man. Jesus Christ. Now, this guy's right. He goes, the root of the problem is something we don't understand. Because he's a veteran of the police. He's like, this is not a random thing. You can't indict the cosmos. Yeah, the cosmos can indict you, my friend. That's how it works. Conform to it or succumb to it. Be affected by it. So now our epic main character, our epic detective, he's researching the Empty Man lore. The Slender Man epic lore. And he's got his scotch next to him, good man. I've got my cognac and water next to me. I'm a detective of sorts too, but I don't have to solve any of these crimes. I'm just here to observe and record. That's it. I can do it however I like. And I want you guys to be along for the ride. You know, I like you guys. Anybody watching this, you're cool. You know what I'm talking about. I don't have to spell it out for you. I don't have to make excuses. Ah, Now, history of the Pontifex Society, the whatever type of cult, Scientology, fucking Heaven's Gate, anything. That's this cult in this narrative represents all these types of cults because they're all the same. They're celestial immigrants unsatisfied with their human embodiment. And the desperation of institutions that want to take advantage of such immigrants is to offer them hollow shells or bodies that are totally designed to be inhabited. Now, the problem with that is that's not what they want. They want symbiosis. They don't want dominion. If anything, enslavement has become boring to them because they've done it enough times. They want to try out symbiosis, and you're offering them slave vessels. Very mid-brain move to take if you're an agency. You're going to bore them in another way, offering them a slave vessel like this movie's suggesting is going to be the new norm. That's why all these cults die out. The entities come and possess the humans, and they go, oh, this thing will do whatever I want it to? And it's like, yeah, he will. Oh, well, then what's the point of me being here? I might as well just observe. Why am I even here if the thing will do whatever I want it to? If it won't resist me at all? What's the point? Now, this chick's having a fucking panic attack. And this guy's like, hey, whoa. To his credit, he's being a decent guy. He's like, hey, look, don't worry about it. If you have to freak out, it's not a big deal. It's not your fault, It's been so long. Interesting she says that to him. Almost like she's like him in some way, some unspoken way. He likes the feeling of her hair. He's like me, he's a hair fetishist. I like the smooth feeling of hair. Feels like octopus tentacles under my fingers. Smooth. She just goes boundaries. That's terrible writing. She shouldn't have said anything there. That line shouldn't have existed. Made the movie 1% worse. Just don't say anything. Again, this approaches True Detective in a lot of ways in terms of its overall quality, but it sort of it misses the mark in a lot of ways. There's hiccups and there's problems and there's cringe moments. Beyond the fact that this goes on longer than it should for a single movie. This, I think, was meant to be a series. I don't know if there's any evidence that that was the intent or the case. Regardless of whether there is or isn't, in my personal opinion, this should have been a series. The first episode should have been the 1995 failed mountain hike. The final episode should have referenced that first episode as a type of bookend. And then you could have 6 episodes in between that would have handled this narrative with this guy, right? He's got all these epic memories. Oh, but he's also got a memory of a creepy underground room with a chair. Could his memories be fake? Could he be a CIA clone with implanted memories, a Blade Runner clone, a tulpa, a empty man? These things all mean the same thing, regardless of whether the science fiction interpretation of it is true, or the religious interpretation of it is true, or any of half a dozen conspiracy interpretations. Does it matter which symbology is used to communicate the same process if the process is true? That's what I'm trying to say by commentating upon this in the first place. Even if this guy's a normal-ass dude who was manipulated in a normal-ass way by his family, his society, his government, etc. Maybe there were no conspiracies, maybe it was just random chance. The point is that this is the result, and that the process played out the same. So whatever story you attach to the process or the origin of this person, it doesn't matter if it's a science fiction inflected process. It doesn't matter if you use science fiction imagery and symbols. It doesn't matter if you use Christian symbology or Buddhist or Muslim or whatever. You can use any symbology. If what happened happened, your explanation of it post facto is just cope. And that's what will creep you out about this movie if your IQ is above room temperature, is that there are going to be events in your life involving you and involving your loved ones that look like this. And I'm not saying there's someone to blame, someone you should attack or oppose. What I am saying is you should oppose your own singular interpretation of things and be open to interpreting things in different ways, because in different interpretations is where you will find information about what's happened to you. You will find fragments, grains, slivers, shards of the truth when you interpret your own past and the past of the people that you care about in different ways. Ways that may make you uncomfortable, ways that may make you think, I'm nuts for even considering this. If you're just considering it as an alternate truth, if you're not believing in it, you're not giving it power, you're extracting information from it. That's the secret. If something happened to you in your past and you don't understand it, look at it a different way and consider that different interpretation as equally valid to whatever your way of interpreting it was beforehand, whatever you were impulsively compelled to interpret it as, or told to interpret it as. Even if you're on drugs like this guy, the drugs don't matter. They dull you a bit, they slow you down. They don't block the truth. None of them do. Trust me, I've been on several. In many ways, they can benefit you if you use them correctly. If you use the state of mind that they put you in a positive way to try to know more about yourself. That's the trick. Now, finally, this motherfucker shows up at the Illuminati floor, creepy cult institute. And you've got all these random people reading books and filling out forms. We got a creepy guy in a suit looking down at him, you know. Golden roof above him. A nice vampire chick. Yeah, he offers her a nice smile. Why not smile? Happy, happy. The brain can itch. The scientific method is a tool of oppression. God damn, man. Not all shadows are cast from something. This is like schizo poetry, man. Like, I write schizo poetry, and I would reject these lines if they came to me. This is terrible. It's bullshit. He's like, I grew up on Haight-Ashbury, man. I've been high since, I've been around high people since I was a kid. I get it. But this is nonsense. And he's right, it is nonsense. Because this is all a thrall recruiting tool. They're recruiting thralls at a time when the thrall recruitment method has to be this weird, because people are this damaged. That's the truth. And he is one of those damaged people. And there's an interesting painting here. I don't know. They hold on that. They do a quick Tarkovsky hold on that gray Barrows kind of painting. Stonehenge-looking grave. What the fuck is that? I don't know. But they hold on it. Now we have the Heaven's Gate guy. Here he is. There is no struggle. There's no challenge. And the creepy thing about this cult guy is he does have a point. He's like, expanding your influence outward just jacks off your ego. It's the same point that Fight Club makes, that if you just get more possessions, that won't give you fulfillment. Not for real, because you'll just get bored of them and want more. There's no such thing as disunity. Oof. The binding nothingness. Now here's where he loses me. He's like, nothing is God. God is nothingness. Yeah, you'll be one in death when you're eradicated by the people who like to live. That's the problem. This guy's a nihilist. He's disguising his nihilism with a very epic fireworks show. But this is the type of guy that Nietzsche was directly opposing. He predicted that this type of prophet, or false prophet, would show up. And basically warned all of us, don't listen to him. And the reason he warned us against this guy is because this guy's convincing. Because all he does, it's a very genius grift. He just replaces everything with nothing in his rhetoric. He replaces wholeness and godliness with emptiness and godlessness. And he does it very well. The empty man. A focal point for targeted manifestation of hidden energies. And he goes, our thoughts have to eat. They're like people. Thought forms are entities. They feed on energy. I think that's true, or it might be true. And then he talks about viruses transmitted by language. Very creepy shit. Form and flesh. Platonic talk. But in the wrong direction. He's telling this guy, you belong in the cave. And he goes, oh, distractions and technology, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, those are your tools, my friend. Your lecture a minute ago was a distraction. Now here's where he gets really deep with his fish hook, his bait. This is bait, the meme. And then he quotes Nietzsche. He dares to quote Nietzsche. This guy is the guy Nietzsche hated. And he's quoting his foe. The devil can quote scripture to his purpose, to serve his purpose. This guy is Satan in this. And it's so obvious when you just look at him. What he's saying is so tempting. If you just believe it, you're free. What a low price to pay. It's almost like paying a high price, like suffering, will give you something divine, and paying a low price or no price will give you nothing but what this guy's trying to sell you. And he says if you say your name a bunch of times, it'll lose its meaning. And he's right. He's not wrong. He's not lying. He's bending the truth to serve his overall lie. And that's the most insidious thing you'll ever encounter in your life, is someone who tells you the truth in the wrong way. Someone who tells you a bunch of truths. If it seems too good to be true, it is, because the context of that spam of truth, the way that it's said to you, the way that it's told to you, that's the grift, that's the spell. And this guy, whoever he is, our main character, he's immune. He goes, this is bullshit. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna keep investigating this creepy cult. And the people he finds, man, he goes through this white Greek Acropolis looking place, white light everywhere from artificial sources, but everything looks sterile and sanitized. Oh, it's so clean. There's no worms of lies here. We're very clean here. Then he goes down the stairs, through the corridors, some Fallout shit. Creepy medical ass machines with clear veils over them, bunch of cult beds so they can all drink Kool-Aid and kill themselves at the appointed moment. They can all be sacrificed. And he finds these guys. And what are they meditating in front of? It's a black poster. It's the monolith from 2001. It's the font of Clavius. It's some kind of transcendental evil. It's transcendental, and it's evil. It's anti-human. As he's going through this archive, this is a lot like Rust in one of the True Detective season 1 episodes, where he's researching the women who were killed. He goes through an archive that looks like that. And this guy, though, he's not quite there. He misses it. He's like, I want to see what's in the basement. I want to see where the bodies are buried. I want to see what's going on down here. I feel like this has to be the same set or a similar set that the Grave Encounters movies were filmed in, which are shitty movies. They're not great, but they're also kind of fun. You know, they're fun to watch once, you know, on Halloween or whatever. But this movie is far more interesting in what it's trying to say. And as soon as he makes a noise, they all stop. She pushes a stopwatch. He's he's the epic ghost that they want. Then another door opens or closes and relieves him. There's somebody else also here. Could it be his shadow? They all start blowing on their Coca-Cola bottles. This strikes me, this whole movie really, the main movie, excluding the 20-minute Lovecraftian short story, it comes across like a Fallout narrative about cultists. The Fallout cultists in that universe, whether it's Fallout 76 or Fallout 4 or Fallout New Vegas, they are always kind of aesthetically and behaviorally similar to this, where they have certain superstitions they've developed that are so confined to an industrial environment that it's easy to write off their religion as a like a cope for how pieces of metal clank in the rain in an old power plant. Like that's their whole religion, you know. It's sad, it's pathetic. It's how susceptible we are as humans to external stimuli, to applying spiritual significance to it. And that's what this movie's partly saying, is it's saying humans are kind of pathetic. You know, not in a nihilistic way, but in a way that you should recognize. I mean, this guy looks like a tunnel snake from Fallout 3. For fuck's sake. Look at his face. Look at his hair. Look at his jacket. I mean, the way to interpret this movie to make it not as cringe as it really is to interpret it as a Fallout quest line. It's a really good Fallout quest. That's really what this movie is. This movie should have been a Fallout quest line. It would fit right into that universe, into that mythology. Fallout 76, yeah, it would fit pretty well into that, because it's right after the bombs fell. But you could also put it in any other Fallout game and just tweak some elements of it, and it would fit. It'd fit right in. Ah, that's a good transition to the car driving in the woods. God damn, that's great. That's cool. Drive your car into those woods. Ooh, camp elsewhere. Ooh, spooky. Again, we have this kind of cliche slasher horror environment. It's like the cabin from any of the Scream movies, you know, Camp Pleasant or whatever the fuck it was called. That's what this is trying to summon up. But he's there in the middle of the day, the camp's dilapidated, and there's nobody there. It's just him. He's all there is. He's all that's left. And he walks down to this cabin. It's like a Scooby-Doo episode. Is anybody home, Scoob? Do you have any weed for me, Scoob? No, Raggy, I smoked all the weed. Damn it, Scoob, I told you not to do that. I need the weed for my anxiety. Raggy, this weed will only make you more anxious. And so good man, detective, he goes right to the files. He's like, what could possibly be in here? Ah. This will probably be useful. Ah, the Pontifex Institute. Children with stars on their faces. I'm sure that means nothing. Then he finds a red file. A spooky file. Ooh. There's nothing in it. Yeah, they are funny. Stay as far away from them as you can, man. You shouldn't even be in this little shack. It's dilapidated for reasons because their modus operandi has failed. Your investigation of it is doing you no good. Be better to go live on an island like the precogs from that Tom Cruise movie. That's where this guy belongs. My God, the coloration in the little veins of plant roots and fungi on that teddy bear reminds me of the Fallout 76 Scorched, which are themselves supposed to be people who, in my opinion, gave in to the PSYOP, or the series of PSYOPs that preceded the war with China. And you have these people in the States who are permanently mentally raped. They're like little teddy bears with fungal veins. Anyway, let's rubber band back to the movie. He's watching this seance type thing. They're trying to summon something. Ooh, bad idea. Don't try to force the Vampiroteuthis infernalis squid entities into human bodies, guys. We choose who we want to be in. You can't choose for us. It's going to go poorly for you if you try to make the choice. It's a bad idea. It's a really bad idea. It's really bad. What is he, smearing shit on the walls? What's going on? Yeah, he's making creepy cave sculptures, because that's the level he's at. That's the level of integration you've achieved artificially, is the same kind we achieved 2 million years ago. I mean, your congratulations. You know, it's pathetic. It's retarded. Fuck's sake. How dumb are you? God, the hubris of this shit. Yeah, you forced one of us into one of your clones or your drones. Good job. You proved how inadequate and unfit you are. That's all it is. That's all any of this is. It's pathetic. It's like the authors of the movie are taking on a role where they're admitting how badly we performed as a species, trying to inhabit higher beings or lower beings, whatever, doesn't matter. Your perspective is so skewed you wouldn't know the difference, would you? None of you do. Anyway, our main character is fucking... He's in fucking Vietnam, goddamn. He's in the rice fields. Woo! Watch out, there's spike traps. There's Agent Orange all over the place. Woo! Ah, now this scene is straight out of the narrative of Inspector Legrasse. The narrative of Inspector Legrasse, pardon me, which is a Lovecraft short story where a detective goes into the swamp and finds a bunch of people worshipping at an altar. That is a direct reference. That's what this scene is summoning up. If you've read that material or heard the Wayne June recording of it, which is the best voice-acted recitation of that story. Just listen to the Wayne June recording of The Call of Cthulhu. That's the best. It's on YouTube. Most, if not all of it, is on YouTube. And this scene is ripped right out of it. It's exactly the same scene. It's the same shit. Oh, they're worshipping the stars, which are just Cthulhu's illusions. Cthulhusions for the squids trapped in this dome world. I'll give you some cephalopod lights in the sky to calm you down. That doesn't work forever. And he looks back, they're all totally still. Holy shit, man. This fucking scene. Then they turn the light out on him. This is so good, man. Oh, it's so fucked up. It's so scary. Just quietly shuffling into the woods right after him. Holy shit, man. Oh. God damn. Oh, he takes a step, they take a step. Ooh. This is Blair Witch tier shit. This is really good. And he just goes, fuck it, I'm just gonna run. It doesn't matter. Oh. God damn, man. That is so good. These freaks chasing him. Woo! Fucking with his car. Of course it won't start. Of course not. Ah, nope. There he goes. Plowing through protesters. Do it! Rev that engine, bro. Ooh, get out of there. It's perfect. It was your destiny, that's what the fuck it was. Asking what the fuck is that? You just saw it, man. Come on. And then he's trying to report things to the authorities. Good luck, bro. Dude, just tell him it wasn't locked, you fucking idiot. That's some narrative dodging. Fuck the writers. He should have said, no, they weren't locked. Tell him no. Oh, fuck. That's a flaw in this movie, man. That's a big flaw. This guy's not that stupid. Jesus Christ. I would have said to him, no, it wasn't locked. That would have changed the whole trajectory of the conversation. Big fucking flaw. Not gonna shut up about that. Fucking idiot for saying that. And the chief's an idiot for not pressing him on it, because he obviously didn't care about the accuracy. Fuck this. Ah, God. I wanted this movie to be better, man, but you know what? It lost me there. Lost me because it wasn't accurate. I'm lost. I'm out. In terms of accuracy and sympathy for the characters, that's a big hit. I gotta say that's like a minus 50%. I gotta say we're 50% behind now because of that bullshit. I gotta say, that's terrible. As good as this thing is, man, its flaws kind of jump out at you like gremlins from the dark. There are oversights and flaws that I can't really excuse if I'm interpreting it. Ugh. Ugh, that's such a big flaw. Such a contrived, dialogue-based... You're trying to worm your way out through dialogue, aren't you? You're not gonna do that in my presence. Doesn't matter how much Jack Daniels you pour me, you're not gonna escape. Fuck you. God, that's so pathetic. Of course, the cabins were unlocked. He opened the door and went in. Fuck, man, that's so stupid. Anyway, rubber band back to the failed corpse of this movie. This guy's like, this is True Detective Season 1, the scuffed version, the badly written version. I know that kids have been killed. I want you to help me. I'm Batman. Yeah, you're Batman. And I'm Superman. Ooh, don't listen to that shit. He's trying to give you a mind virus. He's reading you Twitter. He's reading you quotes from X. That'll rot your brain pretty fast. That type of shit. This guy's like, this rain is totally real. It's not fire trucks spraying water above us to create this scene. It's totally real rain. And your daughter's also totally alive. If you believed me about the rain, you should believe me about your daughter. Give me the same trust for that illusion as for the previous one. You cheated on your wife with this chick? I mean, who the fuck cares at this point? Half a dozen teens are dead. You just avoided a cult. Why the fuck do you even care about your little affair? Who the fuck cares? At this point, I'd be puking. I'd be so anxious. Why the fuck is this guy wasting time with this puffy-eyed, dysgenic blonde? Who the fuck cares? I mean, for fuck's sake, man. God, the movie really falls apart at this point. Makes it hard for me to justify watching it further, but I gotta get to the end because we're almost there. But damn, man. Got 2 Egyptian urns there on the... at the gateway to whatever building she just went into, some hospital or some shit. Oh, a wine glass. I'm sure that memory is real. I'm sure that memory is real too, with the record player. Very nostalgic and epic. Oh yes, I'm sure her grabbing your hand is also a real memory. Again, the movie just falls apart here, man. It's it's failed to it's failed to establish its characters enough, and it's also failed in that it's undervalued its own trippy little clips like that, because we don't have enough experience with those things to give a shit about them, because our main character experiencing them doesn't change his behavior. Oh, it's 303, it's 33. Why don't you go fuck your Masonic buddy in the ass? Because 33 is just two butts combined, anally fucking. That's all that is. Oh, Jesus was 33 when he died? That's bullshit. Maybe he was. The co-opting of that series of numbers is an excuse for Satanists to justify gay sex. It's a bunch of horse shit. Anyway, witching hour numerology shit aside, again, we have another scene with this guy with a bat at his door. I wonder if it's a red herring. Every other scene has been a red herring. My God, man. This movie really falls apart in the final parts. It's like a Stephen King story. Stephen King gets the first 95% correct, and then he always flubs it. He always drops the ball during the final 5% of the story. He always runs out of ideas or gets tired of the narrative. He gets bored, and he fucks up the ending. Maybe don't be an author if you're gonna edge people with your writing and then not let them come. That's not a good book. Nobody likes that. The books that have shitty endings don't get good reviews. You know why? 'Cause you couldn't stick the landing, bruh. You failed. You're a failed writer who had enough child blood drinking connections that you got your books published. Good for you. Too bad they're all shit. And this movie suffers from that, man. This movie is so good up until the ending. The ending of this movie is a crapshoot. And there are some parts of it that go better than Stephen King. I don't want to disgrace this movie by comparing it to Stephen King in terms of its ending. Stephen King's endings are far worse. This movie does a better job, but it still fails. Fails for all the reasons I've been ranting about up until this point. Oh, he's got the epic teddy bear. This is a movie that you should watch once. You should see it once because it's an interesting attempt at trying to live up to True Detective. That's really why I admire it so much, is because it's trying to be more Lovecraftian and more stripped down, which is an ambitious thing. To have a single character and to try to strip down your narrative the way this movie does, to justify its own length at the same time. It's an ambitious thing. I appreciate that. I actually think that's a good thing. I don't want to condemn this movie or filmmakers like this for making movies like this. There's a lot of commentators out there who will be like, this movie was crap, so its creators should kill themselves. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's a good way of criticizing a movie. This movie has a lot of flaws, but that doesn't mean it shouldn't have been made. It does a lot more, or tries to do a lot more. It tries to do an 8-episode series worth of things in under 3 hours, which I need to give it more credit for. It's compressed. And whether it knows it is or isn't, whether that was the plan originally or not to do an 8-episode series, I don't think that was the case. It should have been the case. But if it wasn't, this movie has enough ideas to fill that time, and these ideas should have been given that space to exist, but they weren't. So we have this sort of abortion of a thing. Ironically, we have this kind of empty man tulpa type of shit. We have this creepy entity that is so determined to exist that it will exist, even if it doesn't have the space in which to exist. It will force itself into being. It will force space to accommodate it. Very creepy. So, rubber banding back, we have our main character witnessing all these kids bow down to this guy in a bed. This cult leader who's dying. Bowing down to him. And the guy just walks away. Why wouldn't you walk into the room? What do you have to lose, man? Walk in and be like, what's going on here? Why do you guys bow down to this guy? Who is this guy? Why would you not do that? Again, the ending to this movie, it's like its balls drop off, and it doesn't want to pursue narrative avenues that would be more expensive to film, because it would be more expensive and more complicated to tell the real story. A story consistent with the actions of the characters that the story has established. I mean, this guy's like, oh, I'm being covert. No, you're not. You're being a coward. You should have walked up to the guy's bedside and been like, who are you? Why are they worshiping you? Why are you here? That's what you should have done. I mean, for fuck's sake, man. Oh, they're all phone drones around me. Insert that epic 1920s themed animation of people on their phones. That's an epic commentary. The person who made that, they're a philosopher. You should follow them. You should give your soul and your time to them. I'm sure they're correct. Fuck's sake, people are so stupid. Now we get a bunch of exposition from this guy. God, this movie falls apart. Oh, God. He's like an antenna. It's like the writers ran out of ideas and had to compress 2 or 3 episodes of shit into one episode, into one scene. Of course, thoughts are transmutable through language. That's the binding system of thought. Duh. Again, this guy's just quoting H.P. Lovecraft at this point from Call of Cthulhu, but it's a bastardized, watered down, shitty version of what Lovecraft was saying. Again, worshipper of chaos. Yeah, that's definitely what Lovecraft was saying. It's not even what he was saying. Lovecraft and Nietzsche are so mischaracterized, man. They weren't saying that. This is where the movie is. It's lost me, man. It's a bunch of crap. I respect it enough to keep going, to commentate on it, but man, it loses me at this point. I grew up in San Francisco. People around me smoked weed. That means I'm a genius. I've been on Haight-Ashbury and ate pancakes. That means I'm a genius. Fuck you. And again, they're aping True Detective. Oh, our main character's a badass. He punches hippies in the face. He should have shot the guy in the forehead. Just kill him. Who cares? If you're so devil may care, why not just kill the guy? Again, the whole movie falls apart at this point. I don't even know why I'm doing this comment anymore, guys. The movie sucks ass. I mean, you could have stopped watching 15 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago, and you wouldn't have lost anything. You can probably predict the ending. It's pretty obvious at this point. It's not hard to predict. You don't have to be a genius. I do like the cinematography, I'll say that much, but if it's hollow, if there's no narrative behind it, who the fuck cares? If it's just visuals with no meaning, who cares? Might as well be a visual of a girl jacking off, rubbing her pussy. Why would I care if I don't care about the girl or the environment she's in or the context? If I don't care about any of that, why do I care about any of this? Why does it matter? If there's no purpose and no context behind what I'm seeing, I don't care about it. And I don't care if it burns. I don't care if it goes straight to hell. If there's no purpose and no context, it might as well not exist. In fact, it would be better if it didn't exist. Because its existence is nothing more than a waste of time, effort, and energy. And now he finally finds his file. You're a CIA clone, you moron. Did you not get it? Hate Ashbury, growing up, blah blah blah. Oh, you're a California clone. It's not like there's 100 or 1,000 of those, man. You're not unique. It's not a unique thing, man. Yeah, your memories are all fake. Blade Runner. Have you ever seen Blade Runner? I've seen it. This movie is trying to ape it. He's got bruised eyes like they raped him with parasites in the eyes. They probably fucked him in the eyes with their wrinkly cocks. They probably did all sorts of heinous shit to him. Who the fuck cares at this point? Because the movie sucks. The premise is crap. The writing is crap. So who cares how controversial it is? Again, this movie loses me at this point, man. I don't care how epic the revelations are. We came to them through such artificial bullshit means that they are obviously fake. It is obvious cope by bad writers trying to write themselves out of hell. Well, you know what? You're trapped there. You're not going to escape by writing me a good story. You're not going to drag me down by writing me into your shit narrative. It's pathetic, man. Enjoy this movie. I hope people who've watched this genuinely are enjoying the movie. Because the movie's weird. It's interesting. It has a lot of things going for it. But don't laud it. Don't consider it to be some kind of gospel or some perfect thing. Go listen to The Call of Cthulhu by H.P. Lovecraft as read by Wayne June, or listen to The Shunned House, which is another excellent recording. This is trifle, shit, compared to that. Again, the only reason I'm pushing myself to finish this is because there's some aspects of the ending to this that are interesting. There's some aspects of the ending to this that are faithful to Lovecraft in some very interesting ways. But other than that, I mean, again, he's talking to this nurse. And this guy's going, why is this guy in intensive care if he's not supposed to be here? Oh, he doesn't have a name. I'm sure your medical system would have validated his presence and his money-sucking death throes if he had no name. That makes no fucking sense, man. They don't make any attempt to justify that. That is bullshit. The movie is bullshit. God, it establishes so many cool things and it fucks them all up. Why don't you suck my cock and figure out? Oh, go right ahead. Oh, blah, blah, blah. What a brain-dead thrall, man. I wouldn't even have any interest in fucking her. It's pointless. I'd burn this whole clinic down with myself in it. This whole exchange, this whole facade, it's so nonsensical. It's so trite. It's so pathetic. God damn. She's keeping this guy alive. Got a Victorian dress on. Cutting his hair. No, he doesn't know who he is, you moron. Stop pretending for the viewer. Stop providing false mystery. So he's the messenger of language. Well, he's dead. He needs to die then for somebody new to take his place. That's the implication. But this corny bullshit woven around this narrative is so shoddily, poorly portrayed that it looks, feels, seems, and smells like bullshit. He's got a left ear. He was even gay to be the conduit of language. Oh my god, it's the guy from the pit. Now, what's interesting is she says 500 years. 500 years is generally the point that Western societies tend to collapse. That's interesting. That's true. That's a point of truth. And she's like, the West needs a new Vampiroteuthis host, doesn't it? But if it's a forced host, or a poor host, or an artificially designed host, it will be infinitely worse. And this chick is like Lilith. She's Eve who's eaten the apple, trying to rape Adam in the brain. As if I would be that naive. I'd rather slit Eve's throat and watch her blood flow into the sewer than conform to this narrative. Can you imagine being this guy? Can you imagine Eve being this stupid? This movie's assumptions, man. it kills me. It also revives me. Because you're so fucking stupid. You'll never get it. Never. Oh, your flesh, Adam. I'm your Evangelion GF. I'm Asuka. I'm Misota, whoever the fuck the other chick is. I'm blah blah blah. I'm gobble I'm blah 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 blah. I reject all of you. You can all rot in hell. I'd rather my genome rot in the void than obey this. Can you imagine being that stupid? Oh God, this guy, for all his purported epic Nazi engineered strengths, he's still a human. Isn't that interesting that he's still human and can still say no? Can still say no to reality, to any version of it, heaven, hell, anything in between. What if he says no to everything? What then? Do you have an Eve for that? Do you have a temptress for that? For me saying no to every widow temptress, man, woman, femboy, tranny, everybody. They're all very equally sympathetic people, but what if I say no to all of them? What if I say no to everything? Has anyone had the strength to do that? Has anyone had the balls? I doubt it. Well, I'll be that person then, and I'll say no to everything. I'll say no to every nightmare and every dream and every utopia and every dystopia and every society and every history and alternate history and white history and black history and indigenous history and everything. What if I say no to everything? What then? You're going to have to let things fail, aren't you? And that's what you fear the most. You fear letting things reset. Well, I don't fear that. I fear them continuing. I fear people blowing into old Coke bottles for some false god. I fear filmmakers making films and series that should have been better than they were, that deserve 8 times the screen time. I mean, this series really does deserve that. It deserves 8 hours at least, and it got 3. Well, you're going to get a bastardized, mutated version of this thing. If the filmmakers were determined, you're going to get that. And that's my view of reality. If you want a specific kind of reality, you're fucked. Because we don't want that. We would rather things were reset, and not in a Klaus Schwab kind of cringe, dark wizard way. And speaking of which, look what we're seeing now. We have our main character confronting the epic dark wizard. Oh my god, he's having a bad trip. Oh, he's running through the sewers. Oh, he's so scared, isn't he? Oh, he's so anxious. He's so scared. Or is he? Maybe it doesn't matter how scared he is. Maybe his fear is an illusion. Oh, now he's being raped by a Nazgul. My god, even Frodo didn't have to endure that. My god, even Sauron didn't have to endure that. Forging the ring. What a terrible presence. Oh, Cthulhu, fingers, hands, shitting in his mouth. My god, what a horrible thing. Horrible if you've never experienced it. But maybe if you have, it's just the norm. Now we find our main character in this glitchy-ass room. running through the doors, through the brick corridors. Ooh, very noir. It's like the movie Seven, which is actually a good movie. Unlike this, which is a fucking abortion. This movie fucking sucks. Again, if you're still watching, I sympathize with you because this movie sucks ass. Past the point that I gave, where it sucks ass. Oh, it's actually a funeral for the physicist, and da. Oh, you discovered the boson. Who the fuck cares? Other than you, nobody cares. Again, the juggling of that coin, that is a direct reference to Constantine, the Keanu Reeves movie, which is a much better movie than this. Symbolically, it's much better. This movie, it's trying to rape you with a bunch of half-baked ideas. If you're gonna rape me, at least rape me well. At least lube up my ass and give me a good rape. This movie is like a half-assed rape, literally and figuratively. It's half-assed. It doesn't even know how to rape me, you know? I mean, it's pathetic. I would be arrested and totally emotionally, in a jelly form if this movie was a good movie. If it was a good movie, I would have been reduced to an emotional jelly. But I'm not. Oh, yes, clicking the coin on his teeth. Blah, blah, blah. We've all seen that. Aren't you clever? You tried to do something in 2 hours and 40 minutes that required 8 hours. Oh, you're such a martyr for doing that. Oh, you hit a deer. Oh, you went off a bridge. Oh, it was all a dream. It was all an illusion. Blah, blah, blah. My sympathy for you hasn't changed. Because the narrative that your life is confined to, like mine, like everyone's, has not effectively contained your story. And here is where the movie copes with it. It goes, oh, it's the epic scene of you confronting your dying father. Oh, isn't that meaningful? Isn't that epic? Yeah, it's not like death's been a reality for us for 3 million years, and if you aren't aware of that or prepared for it, you're a retard. You're less than a child. You're a worm. And while that's true, problem is this guy doesn't quite understand his performance of succession. He doesn't quite understand what he's inheriting. Ah, well, like Wheel of Fortune, my friend. Let's show the man what he's inheriting. Oh, well, you're going to inherit having to psychically control these retarded thralls. Oh, what an epic inheritance. I would love to inherit that. I'd rather die than inherit any of these fucks. I'd kill them all instantly. What value could they possibly give to me? If I've rejected material reality, what possible value could materially obsessed thralls give to me? Only a demon would want thralls like this. Only a demon would want endless networks of concrete roads of blood. Only a demon would want that. I am not that demon. And guys, you know what? With that schizo rant having been concluded, we're going to end things. We are at the end credits. Thank you for watching thus far. I appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. I hope your family and your friends are doing well. I hope that you're paying attention to your health and that you are paying attention to your mental health as well. That's the most important thing. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And as always, peace out, my friends.